Here is where we start our story. Nyck de Vries was in difficult situation, as Horner reveals, when it was decided to replace him with Ricciardo. So you might remember that Ricciardo was doing a Red Bull tyre test. And the talk was, if he does good times, Ricciardo will be in and de Vries will be out. From a Red Bull perspective, the most interesting option for me was to see how Daniel performs. This is Christian Horner talking. It all happened pretty quickly. And here he is for the Hungarian Grand Prix. When asked when de Vries was informed of Red Bull and AlphaTauri's decision to move on him, Horner replied, "It all happened a little quicker than expected, bearing in mind that he hadn't completed the test." So that confirms it happened before he finished the tyre test. Helmut spoke to Nyck, and, he was the one that obviously had recruited him. He was the one that spoke to Nyck about lap 11 of the test, I think. Lap 11. See ya never, Nyck de Vries. Catch you on the flip side. I think it's harsh. I felt bad for Nyck de Vries. The story goes on. Horner says Ricciardo's objective is Red Bull seat in 2025 as he gets set for Hungary comeback. So this is obviously the big news. It got everybody very, very excited when it was announced that Ricciardo was returning to AlphaTauri, because it was obvious that Red Bull probably had him in mind for the Red Bull seat, should he be needed. We'll get to that in a sec. Oh, I should also point out too, you might have seen this. This is a return interview with Daniel Ricciardo. He did it with Lawrence Pareto, one of the Formula One content creators, journalist proper, with a capital J. I did record, for special Patreons only, a Daniel Ricciardo reaction video. So I watched the whole interview and reacted to it. So if you want to know what I thought about the interview and everything that came up in it, you can go and support the Patreon. There's a link on the website. That's superlicense.fm. I think at the moment there's only something in place until the end of the season, said Christian Horner. So there are no thoughts or expectations beyond that, he explained. We've loaned him to AlphaTauri until the end of the year. With both Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez contracted at Red Bull through 2024, obviously our drivers are going to be Max and Chico again next year, but it's always good to have talent in reserve. I think Daniel is viewing AlphaTauri. He firmly wants to be pitching for that 2025 Red Bull seat. That's his objective. By going to AlphaTauri, I think he sees that as his best route of stating his case for 2025. Horner's kind of making it clear there that, there's no intention to put Daniel into the Red Bull seat before the end of next year. Now, who believes that? I've heard people saying as much as, if Chico Perez doesn't get a good result in the next 2 races, Daniel Ricciardo will be promoted into Red Bull. We shall see. The media, of course, has taken it easy on Sergio Perez, not giving him a hard time, not overhyped the story. They've just played it cool. This from therace.com. How Perez is handling the Ricciardo hurricane. Hurricane. Christian Horner's admission that Daniel Ricciardo wants a Red Bull Racing Formula One seat again, and Ricciardo's subsequent confirmation that it's his dream scenario, put a target on Sergio Perez's back. He has already stressed he is not paying attention to any speculation. He pointed to the fact that he is under contract and he has Red Bull's backing. Another person comes to mind who had a Red Bull contract and had their backing. Initials NDV. Speaking of, I feel sorry for Nyck, Perez said when asked about the driver situation. He had a very short experience. It was quite brutal in that regard. But you never know what the future will look like for him, and that's just how it is. That's Formula One. On the other hand, I'm so happy for Daniel. I think he's motivated to be back, so well done for him. It's a great opportunity for him. From my side, it doesn't change anything. I drive for Red Bull. There's not just Daniel out there, it's Yuki Tsunoda, and more than half of the grid would love to drive for Red Bull. Says here Perez is under contract for 2024. Although Red Bull has never shown mercy to a driver it believes no longer serves at the right purpose, Perez will be ousted early if Red Bull wants it to happen. I think we all know how Daniel Ricciardo would react if that happened.
I'm tripping major nutsack right now.
So Perez says, I wasn't under any pressure, don't really think anything about it, barely even worry about it. I'm used to this pressure. I'm Sergio Perez. I just don't crack under pressure like that. If I cracked under pressure like that, where would I be? Probably be somewhere there. Just saying, maybe Sergio Perez isn't the cool customer that he makes out that he is.